Welcome to the Arts to Hearts podcast, a show where we take a peek into the hearts and lives of our favorite artists. From running a creative business and practice to mindset, we talk about everything that goes behind into making a life and a career that you adore as an artist. Think of this as your happy hour with your favorite artist in your studio. Hear them share the messy and the wonderful side of creating and living a creative, heartfelt life within and outside our studios. As you tune in, be ready to be inspired and encouraged. I'm your host, Charuka Arora, an artist, designer, entrepreneur, and founder of Arts to Hearts project. Thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right in. Before we dig into this episode, I quickly wanted to remind you about a new call for art entries. The theme for this open call is Dreamland, and this online exhibit will be curated by none other than Ekaterina Popova, curator, artist, and founder of Create Magazine and Art Queens. And definitely, it's not a new fact that you know how much I love her. The deadline to submit for this open call is September 8th, 2021. Selected participants will be a part of an online exhibition hosted on www.arts2heartsproject.com. A few artists will be a part of a special podcast with me, Charuka Arora, and Katerina. A few selected participants will also be featured on Create Magazine's Instagram account with a reach over 180k followers. So you guys, this is so much. I mean, there's so much visibility that we've tried to put in this opportunity. And I'm sure if you know Create Magazine and the work that they're doing, you would know how much this sounds, how good this sounds. So you can find all the details and submit on www.arts2heartsproject.com/submit or find the link in the description below. And if you still don't know about Kat, well, you can listen to the promo of this open call published on the podcast. And you can also should check out the interview I had with Kat and where she spoke about community, expansion, business, entrepreneurship, and everything else. The episode with Kat is episode number 5. So you can go check it out. So if you're a dreamer like me and Kat, and your work resonates with this theme of a dreamland, don't miss this opportunity. You can go submit again www.arts2heartsproject.com/submit, and we hope to see your submissions. Please reach out to us on Instagram at Arts2Heartsproject, or if you want to reach out to me, you can find me on Instagram at Charuka Arora. If for any queries and questions that you have, I can't wait to see your work, and I can't. Thank you. Bye. Hey, you guys. Welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast, and this is your host Charuka, and this is my safe little place that I absolutely love. So I was taking a shower today, and I had a lot of thoughts in my mind, and I thought, I created this podcast because I wanted to create a safe space for myself, and I absolutely love it because, a lot of times when I used to meet people in person before, like everything happened, pandemic, and then there was a different life that we were all living, I used to feel a lot triggered to share what I wanted, what I was feeling. I did not feel safe a lot of times. And every now and then that time comes in all of our lives. And I definitely have been feeling a little like that recently for different reasons altogether. But I thought I wanted to talk about few things like, taking over our fears, control, and, just a leap of faith sometimes. I recently had a very nice conversation with Lisa Vita, and she's on Instagram as Painted Fables. So shout out to Lisa. It was so fun to talk to her, and we were just talking about a few things, which were about a few projects that we were doing, how we're dealing with our decisions, and all of those things. And I thought, like, it'll be a good idea to just come here and share what's been going in my mind and just in general. So, lately I have been feeling under the weather. It's a Sunday today, and I haven't been able to take a lot of time for myself in the past few months, of course, and just taking a bath. And I was going through a lot of my thoughts after I had this conversation with Elisa, and I was just talking to myself, which of course, like, which I don't feel any more weird to share. I love to talk to myself and see what's going within me. I am an overthinker, and I absolutely, like, this is something that I have started to practice now, that I need to take control over my thoughts and understand that what is that is actually going on and what is that my mind is telling me, because a lot of things that my mind tells me is not the truth. Is something that I just learned over the time, and I'm still trying to deal with that. In the past few weeks, I've had some situations where I feel like I've been losing control over what I want, how I want things to be. And it's always not about control. Sometimes you don't have clarity of what you want to do, how you want to do. Unless you just don't step into something, you will never know what is your way. Just like, when you start making art, you begin by maybe try to be like, try to copy them, and then eventually you find your own style, because once you get over your fears is when you actually find yourself. And I started this podcast. Starting the podcast wasn't, I mean, it does feel it was easy for me because I did not have to show my face. I had been putting starting a podcast for me a really long time. And when I did, a few things that made, like, helped me to take this decision was that, I was doing this for fun. I just felt it was a great medium that felt very comfortable for me in the first phase. I did not have to show my face. I did not have to have a pretty background, like, and the equipment and everything wasn't something that felt very overwhelming for me. And the editing process or all of those things, of course, now things have changed. I have taken more help than I did before. And, a lot of people ask me what made me start my podcast. And honestly, it was just because I just wanted to create a safe space where I could be 100% myself. And podcast seemed a very, very nice idea to me. And every time I would listen to a podcast, I would feel like, oh yeah, this is something I would absolutely love to do. I know people who are close to me who know that, and I always wanted to start a podcast. And sometimes, when you start seeing yourself in some places, it is generally a cue that this is something that maybe you should give it a try and see if it really is something that you want to give, like, some space to, some, like, an effort to, and then you can always figure out. It doesn't always have to work out. It can just, and the idea, yeah, that I just outrightly did not have to make money, or, like, it was just like something I was doing purely out of passion, and I still am. I still love this podcast. I have met such amazing people via this podcast, and of course, it's become such a beautiful space for me. And with the effort that I always felt the lack of a space that was honest, transparent, and did not trigger me, honestly, because a lot of times I would feel so triggered uh, with a lot of things, and because I just felt like there was a lot of lack of transparency. People were always trying to put a lot of perfection, um, and just, I just wanted to shed those layers of who I am, and be someone without fear, and just be myself. And in the beginning, I remember when I was I was starting this podcast, I had this fear that about my accent, because I definitely host a lot of international people who come from different countries, a lot from the US. And I just felt, I mean, I don't know, it, it just, it feels like I can say it here, of course. And I'm okay with it sharing now, because I've gotten over that fear that, my accent is definitely different from other people. And, how would that be perceived? Am I going to be looked down? Or I would cringe on my voice so much. And I was so scared of my voice in the beginning. When I would, hear my own, just review my own episodes. I used to edit a lot of my own episodes in the beginning, and I would so cringe. And I was like, why am I doing this? But at the end of the day, I always try to look at the bigger picture, that I was trying to say something and I strongly felt about it. And uh, even if I had a guest, I had a meaningful conversation with someone, and that meant so much more than anything else to me. So, of course, that was a bigger picture for me, and it helped me get over my fear. Eventually, I became more confident about what I was doing. A lot of people started appreciating my work, which, of course, is a good validation to keep, to keep motivating you. So, yeah, getting over fears is not easy. There's so many fears that we always have, be it with our own art practice or something that we want to do, something that you want to start next. There are a lot of things that I am hoping to work on now, which I'm really dealing with a lot of fears that, what if, and all of those things. And what I've noticed is a lot of these fears come from a place where someone has something said something to us, or like these preconceived notions that we've experienced in our lives, or someone who's triggered us because of something, and we are just afraid, like, or at least I am just afraid to feel that, oh my god, I'm going to prove them right, that, oh yeah, that is, like, maybe I'm not good enough for this, oh yeah, this is stupid, or like all of those things. But what only takes to get over these noises and thoughts is the fact that what my purpose is. And honestly, with purpose, I'm not saying you have to have something bigger. Sometimes the purpose, let's say, in the beginning of my career, I moved out of my parents' house very early. And my biggest purpose was at that time to make enough money so that I can survive and I don't have to be dependent on my parents. That was as simple as that. I would do any little job, any little project I would get, because at that point, the only purpose I had was, uh, I knew I had creative skills and I loved creating, and I taught myself a lot of things that I do today. Nobody taught those to me. Nobody taught me all of these things. I mean, of course, I studied fashion, but it was completely different deal. I studied advertising, which was a very old school format, which really did not have anything practical, or like, all of these things. What really taught me was experiences and the leap of faith that I did, like I took for myself. If I remember, the first I started as a freelance. I started freelancing in the beginning of my career, and I still remember I took up this illustration job, which was about creating some illustrations for a new startup that was happening here in India, or I think in the US actually. I don't think they exist anymore, but they wanted me to do some illustrations, and at that point, I did not know how to use an illustrator, and I just knew I could draw, and I'd never done like an illustration job before, but I just knew that I could do it if I'm challenged to, and if of course it was paying me money and I needed the money, so I was like, yeah, sure, why wouldn't I do it? I would. And I figured my way. Of course, it wasn't great, but it worked for them. It worked for me in that process. I taught myself how to use Illustrator. I taught myself how to, convert drawings into vectors, how to have those, all of those things that go when you're trying to do something new. Uh, Maybe just something like a podcast. I had no clue how to start a podcast. Only thing I knew that I wanted to start a podcast. Because I was very alone. It was a great tool for me to connect with more people, and the people that I'm already connected to. It would give me a space that I could talk like I am right now. I Without knowing that, even if someone's hearing or not, the fact that I'm able to say things out, you know, without feeling afraid, that felt good. And other ways, I mean, when I started several businesses, hobby, passion, fashion, design. I mean, I've played so much, and everything started with a place that either I was too curious to figure out how to do this, and that still drives me a lot because I'm always curious how things are done. how things are actually created, how a podcast works, how a YouTube channel works, how how things work. And it just gave me a purpose, something that helped me not to take things too seriously, and just in a way that I am more interested in learning what it is than just finding other reasons. Then yeah, so that really helps me take over my fears. Of course, what is a little tricky when it becomes is when there are more things attached to it, like when it becomes serious, when it becomes work. That is when uh, you have to take. I am someone who's very diligent, and I want things to be perfectly done when I'm sending them out, and that is still a spot I'm working on, and that really drives me crazy a lot, like honestly a lot. But yeah, I feel like if I hadn't taken those steps, and if I hadn't um, just believed in myself, because if I wouldn't have taken this control of okay, I want to do this, I don't know how to do this, I want to say to myself, I want to do this, I still don't know how I will do this, but I'm going to figure it out. And this approach, honestly, is the approach that I take for mostly everything, be it my art practice, be it any other project that I'm working on, be it the podcast, the ATH community, or anything else. With ATH, I think with Arts to Hearts, the podcast, our community, everything is that the bigger driving force has been for me to meet like-minded people, to build real connections, in spite of not being there all over the world. But I still want to meet those people. I still want to have those conversations, and I want to make friends. I want to make friends that I can share my journey with. And I feel so fortunate to what um, Arts to Hats has become now to where it was. And I'm sure it will, I mean, I am sure I will put my heart and soul, I have been, and I will still continue to do, to just make it a safe space. I think the most important thing for me is to feel safe in what I'm creating. And if you do feel the same, I think that will be something that I really, really want for people who listen to this podcast, or people who are a part of our community. Because I don't want to add extra pressure on people, on artists, on women, because for sure I know that we're all dealing with a lot. The least that I want is to make you feel that you're not alone, that my fears or your fears are not unique. We are all together in it, and somehow that makes us feel better. I don't want to find a community that I can only share my success with, but also my failures. I mean, one recent failure I'll talk about. Yeah, I've not been great in the studio recently. I've been struggling so much. I've been struggling so much with, taking control over my just general in life, because when I've been living at my parents' house for the past 1.5 year, and ever since my mom's passing, things have been very difficult. It's been very hard for me to manage my time, here at home versus at work. More than time, I think it's so hard for me to manage my soul and my mental strength. But I've just been putting one day at a time, 1 hour, one moment at a time, and that does help. But mostly, I've been feeling that I'm running from pillar to pillar, because I have to get so many things done, be it my personal, my family responsibilities, or work. And I was feeling I was losing control, I would say, because just the way sometimes you want things to work and they don't, you feel like you're losing control. But what I realized was it wasn't losing control. It was just like I just needed more clarity of what I wanted and how I could do that. For example, um, I knew that if, let's say, I couldn't spend, like, well, while I was living alone, I was so much by myself that I used to have so much time to think, and then I would have so much time to spend with myself. And I am someone who needs a lot of that time to function. And for me, if I don't get that time, it's very hard for me to function. And so I figured that I needed to take out some time for myself. So I wake up early in the morning. I have a couple of hours for myself. If I feel unhealthy, I'm not a super healthy person and I have a lot of body image issues. So I knew if I'm taking action towards that, that makes me feel better and in control of my situation. And, with, let's say, with Arts to Hearts, what is the vision that I want, how I want my things to be, what triggers me, what doesn't trigger me, and just more clarity on uh, what I exactly want, because all of these are pieces of my life. All of these are little pieces that I'm trying to build, and they're all connected. If I am unhappy in one place, it makes me feel unhappy in all other places. If I am feeling unhealthy, if I am feeling unfit, I know I'm not going to perform better anywhere else. I'm not going to feel better anywhere else. And I've been taking a lot of time off the studio because sometimes I just have to. And sometimes I have to put my sanity on top of everything that's going on, be it my family, be it my work. I've been working, I've been really trying to put structures into place, be it in my own practice, be it in Arts to Hearts, be it in my time schedule, how I like to organize things. Because again, it gives me a little bit of fluidity, because how I want to do, like, I know if I want to spend another 3 hours in the studio, I wouldn't really decide on how these 3 hours would be for me, but I would just give myself the space that, okay, these 3 hours are blocked for it. And it just makes me feel better, honestly. And it's just sometimes that we have to believe in ourselves. um, I know I feel like I'm trying to take another jump where I want to be, and my heart feels, honestly, my I feel afraid, and I feel safe enough to say this here, because this is why I entirely created this space. And I am telling you, I am afraid. I am afraid of the growth. I am afraid of those big dreams that I have, the big dreams that I just standing next to me. And I know I want to do them. I know that um, my heart really desires them. And even if I'm bad at that, even if I don't know what's going to come next, but I really want to try. I really want to give my best shot, because that's who I am. I just don't want to come sit here and just I want to take an action, and I know I can, but there are these fears we all have. I have ample of them, honestly. But yeah, I want to start new things, and there are these things that keep me afraid and keep me just stop me from taking an action. I have to remind myself of what max could happen. What max will happen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out this isn't something I like. It's okay. I mean, nothing comes with a guarantee. That's something I really learned after I shut down my big business first time, and after I'd invested a lot of money, time, and all of that. And it was a big shock to me, but it was such an important lesson that life taught me, because now I know anything and everything that I do doesn't have to come with the promise of forever. It can be something that I think I may like, but unless I don't do it, I will never figure it out. And it's okay if there's something, if I evolve over time and I want to either do it in a different way, or I may not want to do it at all, because yeah, people grow, people change, and you just have to keep that faith in you and take that leap, that this is what your heart desires, and you want to take that leap of faith. I mean, if I wouldn't, I still remember uh, when I said to this to my boyfriend that I wanted to be an artist. Oh my god, that was such a big thing. I wasn't even remotely there. I mean, I would always make art and I was always creative. But my definition of a creative, my definition of an artist was very narrow, and I think over the time I'm just trying to expand that horizon for myself. And I think that is one of the biggest barriers of thoughts to me. And I know for a lot of people that how we perceive, how people may wants us to believe that, what being an artist is, what being a creator is, or whatever. And I am someone who wants to do multiple things, and sometimes I feel that growth within me. Sometimes it makes me feel afraid, but I need to believe in myself that if I hadn't believed in myself uh, 10 years ago to step out of my house alone, I wouldn't be here. I've been living alone for so long. I have made this life of my own, which I'm very proud of. I have become this person that I'm very proud of. I wouldn't have done those things if I did not believe I could, or if I have been just too afraid of what people would have thought, or if you like, I wouldn't become. Um, there are so many limiting thoughts that have we are sold so much time, like, if you do this, you're not that, and like a lot of those things. And you can be a good artist, and you can be a great lawyer, or you can be a good lawyer who's a great writer, or you can be, you know you can create multiple things at one time. It is just who you are who's going to decide what works best for you, what your process is like. And it's not going to be a linear road, it's going to be a bumpy road. And you will always find new things about yourself, like, how you want to do this, and you will always have a chance to rectify. I mean, if you take two steps ahead, you can always take two steps back, figure it out, and take one step ahead again. um, and that just, I think that thought really reassures me that if I've come this far, if I've sailed through these years, if I've sailed through the past 1.5 year, I'm sure I can deal with what's coming next. I have to believe in myself and really believe that what I want, and I want to make sure that I take an action towards this, because I don't want to regret. I just don't want to regret that. What if I wouldn't have, taken, what if I wouldn't have taken control? What if I would have taken control? How things would have worked out? Or, what if if I had done what I wanted to? I just think a lot of times I would want to act on, but act with intention. I mean, I know I'm a very impulse driven person. So another thing that I've improved and I'm constantly working on is, if a thought comes to my mind, be it a positive or a negative, I take some time out. I keep on thinking about it. And if it still bothers me, if it still makes me mad, I would try to calm myself down and then react on it. If it really drives me, if it really pushes me, then I'm like, if it's still not settling down, it's something I need to give it a shot. So, yeah, I really wanted to come in. I don't even know if this episode makes sense. I hope it does. If nothing, honestly, if it's not making sense, because a lot of things don't make sense in life. A lot of things that are happening don't make sense. A lot of the time that we're living in does not make sense. But eventually things will fall into place. And I know that for a fact that nothing is constant. We're all evolving people. We are always in evolving situations, and things are going to go different from where we are today. They will sometimes they'll be good, sometimes they'll be bad, sometimes they'll be uncomfortable, sometimes they will be comfortable. But um, I think what I am really focused right now is that wanna I just want to know I want to keep reassuring myself that as I move forward into my own journey, I need to find more clarity of what I want to do, which I've been working on honestly for the past few weeks. That, okay, this is where I want to go. And I want to shed all those fears and reassure myself that I'm going where I exactly need to be. I am where exactly I need to be. And I will be where I'm exactly meant to be. I just need to follow my instinct. And sometimes it'll take me places that's going to feel really uncomfortable, and it's okay. I have felt so much discomfort in so many times, in so many places, and I know that that discomfort, if nothing, has taught me so much that helps me today. So I might just learn another lesson. So, yeah, I hope this makes sense to you. If nothing, you find comfort in my own misery, and a little fun. If nothing, I hope you just smile through this episode, because sometimes we just there's nothing apart from smiling at your own fears, own inhibitions. situations. And it's strange that if I would be doing this alone, I would have more tears than laughs. But just because I'm saying this out loud, it makes me feel more funny than sorry. So I hope you feel comforted. If nothing, this is the only intention I have, that I don't want to trigger you, overwhelm you, scare you, push you. I just want you to feel mm, comfortable. I just want you to feel safe to be yourself, whoever that and whatever that means. And I just hope that as much as I'm able to create this as my own safe space, which I'm still working on, I mean, it's still a work in progress. There are a lot of things that I want to say, but I'm afraid. I mean, again, fears are natural. We always keep working on them. And I know I will take one step at a time. But I love coming here. I love having these conversations. I love my guests. I love my community, if anything else. And I hope you love this place as much as I do. And I would love to hear from you. If at any point this podcast has helped you, if I've just contributed 1% of, like, if I've helped you feel better 1%, it makes my day. It makes all my effort worthwhile, because that's all my intention is. So if you have ever, please feel free to share that with me, because honestly, that gives me more motivation to keep coming up, to keep pushing through those fears. And yes, like always, if you really resonated with this episode, do feel free to maybe just drop a review, because again, that really helps me grow this podcast and take it to a place that I always want to. And if there's something that you really, uh, if you have that you want me to share about, if you have anything that you want me to, have my guest talk about, any guest, any topic that you would want me to really uh, talk about on this podcast, feel free to, DM me on at the rate Charuka Arora on Instagram, or at the rate Arts to Hearts Project on Instagram. I would always love to, know what you want, who you are, because again, I really want to put faces to these listeners. I really want to know who you are, because for me, what really matters is not those numbers, but those faces, those voices, um, talking to people, what really makes me feel really happy and inspired. And I think that's one of the reasons I love this podcast, because it's just helped me make these real connections, and talk to these people, and know them in a way that I like. And even if it's for 30, 40 minutes, I know I'm taking something away from here, and we've had a conversation that's meaningful for both of us. So yeah, if you want to connect to me, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram at Charuka Arora. Let me know, share this episode in the stories. Let me know if what you think about this podcast. What kind of content would you want, me to create more on this? And if you really feel called, please leave me a review, because that would really mean a lot to me, and it would send me a big smile on my face. Yeah, I just want to say a big thank you for being here. I truly, truly mean when I say this, that this is a, like, Arts to Hearts is a place where my heart truly belongs. I just feel so passionately about this project. It's just not even a project; it's a piece of my heart. It literally is a piece of my heart, because that's what it took for me to create this. It took my fears. I had to really face my fears. It took my heart, soul, everything into one, and I just put it into here, like put into Arts to Hearts. So it's been a learning curve, a healing curve for me, and I love you. If you're listening to this episode, I just want to say that your one listen makes so much difference to my life, because it gives me more purpose. It just helps me feel that what I'm doing is not only helping me, but helping someone else as well. If not helping, it's just, if it's something running in the background in your studio, or if you're on drive, or if you're just sitting idle, it's just adding something to your life, and that really, really inspires me to do more. So yeah, if you feel called, please leave me a review. Anywhere you're listening this podcast, drop me a message, send me a hi. I'm looking forward to know who you are, and I'm always listening. I'm always open to sharing. Eventually, but please let me know if there's something that you want me to talk more about, and I'll figure a way out for that. So, thank you so much for listening this episode. I hope to catch you soon again. Sending you lots of love and my best wishes always. Love, Charuka. Bye bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can find all the details and links mentioned in the show notes of this episode available on www.hearts2heartsproject.com. And if you like this episode, please don't forget to tag us in your stories and leave us a review here on iTunes or any of your favorite platforms. It really helps us to keep the show going. Thank you so much. I'm sending you lots of love and I can't wait to be back here soon again. Bye.